Welcome to the Super Speedway.
I'm not taking Larson. There's no way. I don't see Larson. Larson doesn't need to win this race. He'll probably be there and he'll probably run for it, but they're not. They don't care about points. If the day goes bad, who cares for them? It's not a big deal. They got nothing to prove here, so I'm not going to go with Larson. Welcome to episode 216 of the Super Speedway podcast. Recorded Tuesday, October 26th. For some reason, my audio is really loud, so I'm trying to fix that. Tuesday, October 26th, 2021. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. And a little inside baseball here. James was just talking about how bad his Xfinity pick was this weekend, and I wouldn't tell you before the podcast, James, that so was my cup pick.
Really good.
Yeah.
I always love when you wait to tickle my funny bone with the intros every once in a while. You just hold out on me and then you hit me with a gem.
Yeah,
just like that.
I almost never tell James ahead of time what the intro is going to be because I like we don't do video anymore, but we do have video, so I can see his expression, and I always enjoy his reaction to it. I think only a couple times in the past have I played the intro for him ahead of time. So and that's just if I'm really proud of the production value of it, but not this one. So I was going to start off by picking on myself, and I'm like, well, I might as well just pull the clip from the show because I remember very specifically being adamant I'm not going to pick Kyle Larson because he's not going to win, and he won.
Not going to win 3 in a row. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
How many times have I done that one too? I said not going to win 3 in a row at Michigan, and he did it at Michigan. This is the second time this year winning 3 in a row.
So who's going to win the championship, Eric?
It's going to be Kyle. It better be Kyle Larson. It better be.
Kind of quit doubting him, man. He just keeps winning.
I'm done doubting that guy. I mean,
it's incredible. It's incredible.
It is something. I've got a note. It's Kyle Larson. What more can we say? So 9 wins on the season, James. 10 if you include the All-Star race. And then I was thinking about it, and there are at least 4 races this season, and I've got them noted here in the notes, that Larson probably should have won. Ryan Blaney got him in Atlanta, the first Atlanta race. We had Coda where he was running Chase down.
He was coming down.
That race was over if NASCAR wouldn't have given it to Chase.
Yep.
And then Pocono, he cuts down the tire in the last corner on the last lap. Turns that one over to Alex Bowman.
Mm-hmm.
And then Darlington too. We had his video game move as he tried to get by Denny Hamlin and almost made it work. And I know he finished second in the first Darlington race too. I can't remember the specifics of that one. But, I mean, you're talking 14 wins he could have.
Right. Remember when he showed up to Talladega and the car wasn't ready?
Yeah.
And they blew it up. So he didn't even have a chance at that one. So who knows what that would have been. So, yeah, he's had some interesting races this year. And he was so close to being eliminated at the Roval before he won that race.
Just incredible.
What a run. I mean, I don't know what more. We ran out of things to say about him 5 races that, five wins ago. He's the all-time laps led leader per the 36 races. I guess the modern era laps led leader now. He's just, I mean, not winning the championship now is just an extreme disappointment because that team is they're just ready. It's time. It's gonna be, what a story. I mean, if he can come back from what he came back from, and then the first year with a team like this, the only other one I can think of, Eric, is Kevin Harvick going to Stewart Haas again. Yeah, there's some parallels there with that, but man, this is unprecedented with the win totals and everything else. He's gonna probably have to win double-digit races this year to win the championship now, so he's right there.
I'm sitting here trying to think of big disappointments when it comes to championships. And obviously with the old format, it happened less because,
new format,
you only had a couple guys in the running for it. But I mean, you go look back to 92 when Davey Allison lost it. That was a huge deal. He should have had that championship.
Yeah. Bill Elliott too, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you look at, Alan Kwiatkowski, of all the drivers that could have won that one, was the least likely to win it.
Yep.
I mean, you look at the Carl Edwards, Tony Stewart tie for the championship. That was Carl's to win. And he blew it at the end. I mean, just thinking of this would have to be the biggest disappointment, right? If Kyle Larson doesn't win this title.
Well, I mean, you throw Kevin Harvick up there, but now that Larson's in this race, Eric, I don't know, because I mean, it's a one race deal for the championship.
Still though,
still,
man. But that's the
I
thing, though.
know.
It's a one race deal. But James,
He
where
got
has Larson
there.
been bad?
That's true.
Except Daytona and Talladega.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. You know, this is a legit shot here. With the new car coming, you have a lot of unknowns going into next year. If you want to get one, this is as good of an opportunity as anybody's ever had to get it done. And you know, we had 2014 comes to mind. I'll bring up Harvick again, but Ryan Newman almost stole that championship. People forget about that. Right. He had zero wins on the year and was the championship leader with minimal laps left in that race before Harvick got back by him. Gosh, man, I don't know. I've seen like 2015, Kyle Busch went on that tear to win his first title. But this one, boy, anybody else winning this one at this point is an upset, I think. At this point, he is so far and away. That 5 team is so far and away better than everybody else.
Well, he did what Harvick did last year, except he's at this point finished it.
Well, he's
all
doing,
but finished it.
Yeah, he's doing actually. I would say he's doing the opposite of a Harvick. He's only getting stronger where Harvick faded.
That's true. That is true.
He has built momentum. That 5 team has just built momentum where Harvick fell apart late last year. Now we've got a guy who's won 3 races in a row, a team that is just riding, huge wave of momentum. Do you remember, there's James, a chance here we could get 5 in a row by the time this is all said and done.
Do you remember around Pocono, we were making a big deal out of the fact that Hendrick didn't have the advantage anymore because they fixed the nose issue. NASCAR fixed the nose.
Remember the 5? Yeah, the 550 package. Remember, that's completely disappeared. I mean,
it worked out for him.
It is one guy and Bowman, who've been trying to steal these races, but it's man, I'm at a loss for words, which I guess doesn't happen to me hopefully too often, but
right.
It was just another, I mean, he just drubbed him again, Eric. It was crazy. Yeah. It was absolutely crazy.
Should we have a moment of celebration, James?
Sure.
This
I'm open for celebration.
The last 550 package race with this package ever.
With this car,
we're gonna have something similar next year and probably worse. But
we don't need a ceremony to honor this package with this car. Jeff Gluck was he was waving his fist in the air. Don't you worry, the 550s package is coming back. Well, it's a little different, so we'll see. I don't know. This rules package, I've hated it ever since they got our hopes up with that Vegas test. I have gone downhill from there. So
you know what I determined this weekend though, James, the 2 things that make this aero package work: really cold temperatures and just huge gusts of wind.
Yeah, sure.
The wind was the major player this weekend. At Kansas.
It was.
Put a couple drivers into the wall. I mean, anytime somebody just outright just misses the corner, that's I mean, how many we've heard the talk of wind before. We've heard the gusts. We've had windy races, but I don't ever remember a race where it really literally played a role like this, where it took cars out. Do you?
No, I don't remember it being that bad. We've had races like you said that have really pushed the cars around, but not the way that the wind was coming into the track and shoving cars up into the corner. I have not seen that before, but we've seen some strong winds, pushing cars down the straightaways before, but I don't remember it being like this. This is something new. I
just wonder if it's a product of how on the edge they are with this package, that they're just wide open and
there's not really any room to give.
So that had that extra effect on them. Story of the race: playoff drivers struggling. Ryan, let's break them down one by one here. Ryan Blaney gets taken out in the wreck with Austin Dillon. Austin gets loose underneath him. Blaney was upset about it. I mean, I think, again, wind. I don't think that Austin did anything wrong here other than chase the car up the track, right? I mean,
right.
I don't blame Blaney for being upset because he wrecked out, but he doesn't have any gripe with Austin, right?
No, I don't think so. There was nothing. I mean, that was just a racing deal. If anything, that 12 team should be kicking themselves for not getting stage points when they, they got to run a little bit better to get those stage points. But again, they came into this race second in the standings, feeling pretty good about themselves. And just like that, it all goes away. And that's the thing. Like, same thing with Joey Logano last week. You have just this moment, and then it's over and it's gone. And you feel bad for him. But again, it's just a racing deal, which Eric, this brings up a great point for me. There's been a lot of talk, and I wanted to get your opinion on this about how non-playoff drivers should be racing playoff drivers. I'll start. I don't think non-playoff drivers should give playoff drivers a break for the most part, because it's a single race.
Yeah.
And you race inside that race. And, I know the playoff drivers, KFB has been screaming about a little bit, but thank you. I got words for that guy this week. He was mad on the radio, by the way. Holy smokes.
He's pissed off at Bubba.
For
nothing.
Yeah. But that goes back to our point. Like, we race these individual races. I know you've got a playoff thing going on, and I don't mind a non-playoff driver cutting them some slack once in a while, but you got to race this race, and you got to race your race. So Bubba Wallace running his line, I didn't see any problem with that. Austin Dillon didn't see any problem with that.
No.
I hate that we've got this, like, I don't know, not really a controversy, but what do you think about it, Eric?
I'm going to contradict myself right now for later in the episode, but I'm going to say I agree with you. I think that the only place that I have an issue with it is if you're a back marker. If you're going a lap down or whatever, then yeah, get the heck out of the way. You don't be wasting or racing with these playoff guys. But if you're racing for position, you have just as much a right to be there as anybody else does. And with this aero package, you can't give. You can't. Well, you'll never have a chance if you give.
Right.
I mean, Tyler Reddick
said it last week.
Tyler Reddick drove like a butthead in this race, but I'll tell you what, it worked
aggressive.
For him.
Yeah, like Ryan Blaney's quote was, "You have to drive like an a-hole,"
Mm-hmm.
and Austin Dillon wasn't even driving like an a-hole.
No.
He was just, you're just wide open. You're all out, and yeah. You bring up Tyler Reddick. I know he's ruffling feathers, but that dude's up front every week right now, and making he's like, I think I said this last week, but he's Larson before Larson.
Yeah.
Again, I'm seeing some of that going on with that guy. So yeah, don't blame these guys one bit. You got to race. You got to get wins. These wins matter to these non-playoff guys. Look what it did for Bubba Wallace getting that win at Talladega. So it's important, man.
One thing people don't realize, and I'll credit Door Bumper Clear for talking about this week, but it's a good point. These guys that are out of the playoffs, that were in the playoffs, are still racing for points. So if you were 16th in the playoffs, you fall out in the first round, you can still get up to 5th place. So these guys are all racing for position still. You look at the lower series, and we're going to talk about the Xfinity series and some of those drivers. They're racing for owners championships. They have just as much of a right to race for it as the playoff guys do.
Exactly.
And yeah, do you look like a bigger bonehead when you go out there and you take out a playoff guy or a couple playoff guys? Sure. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
But we don't have the luxury of NFL, the Super Bowl, where the two best teams or the two finalists are playing each other and everybody else is gone. We don't want that. We want a 40-car field. And when you've got a 40-car field, that's what you're going to have. And
exactly.
And yes, we give the playoff drivers an advantage by letting them start at the front of the field at the start of the race. But otherwise, no, they don't get any special treatment.
Yep. Exactly.
So, I'm good with it.
Yep. Exactly. It's just something that's been on my mind.
Yeah.
As it's becoming more and more of an issue as we get, Eric,
well, I don't think it's an issue with the fans. I think the drivers feel entitled. They feel like they should be raced clean, or just let by, and screw that.
Well, dude, and I'll say this: high pressure situations for these guys. I can understand them getting, their undies in a bunch, I guess,
right.
about it, because there is so much on the line for these drivers. It's such a high pressure situation that NASCAR has put them in with the playoffs, which is a great thing.
Yeah, it's good for us.
Yeah, it's great for us. I just don't want to hear the drivers, bitching and moaning about the other guys on the track. What this is. You've got to race these other 39 guys for this championship. Your championship isn't between you and the other guys.
Right.
You got to work your way through you and the other tracks to get there first. And, and it's all part of it. So I'm glad we talked that one out. It's something that I was kind of thinking about the last couple of weeks.
Well, we're going into the biggest race of the year this weekend, and there's only one guy that's comfortable.
Yep.
That's it. Only Kyle Larson is comfortable right now. Yeah, everybody else can fall out.
I was gonna say yeah, but then I thought about it really quick. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, he's right. There's only one guy
Yeah.
who's really safe.
I mean,
you know?
Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin are pretty good,
And they're
but
great at Martinsville too.
you blow a stage, you blow
blow an
that first
engine.
stage, and you're in trouble. And I mean, we saw it last year. Kevin Harvick, there was no way he wasn't getting in off this race, and he didn't make it. So,
dude, Joey Logano, I thought was like done unless he won a race. Now I still think he needs to win,
right?
But, you know, 2 stages and that's 20 points. He wins 2 stages, he gets 20 points. I mean, he's not that's the fun thing about what we have going on here too, is we've only got one guy locked in, so we've got 7 guys battling for those 3 spots. It's gonna jostle. I don't think the 4 we've got in are going to be necessarily the 4 that get there. I feel comfortable about Hamlin and Chase. But again, Eric, you blow an engine, you have, I mean, Martinsville, things happen pretty fast. Yeah. So
you can't get out of the way. And not only that, but we've also seen,
you got to race smart.
We've seen the Gibbs cars show up just off. You know, we've seen people, especially since we've started this format where we don't get practice in qualifying, we've seen people just miss it. You know, Martinsville, you want the car low, but you don't want it too low. And if you're dragging the track, you're done. You don't have a shot.
Yep.
So it's, man, in 500 laps of that place, I'm glad I'm not doing it. We'll run through the other playoff drivers real quick that had trouble. Tire issues, James. We had a lot of tire issues again in this one. Yeah. Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr. all have tire issues, mostly stemming from contact with the wall, probably thanks to the wind. And, you know, this is an issue that we've seen in the Cup Series since we got rid of the ride height rule, that they lowered these cars down. They didn't cut the fenders out anymore. And now when the metal is touched, it gets in on the tire and cuts them down. And, I don't know. I guess don't make contact then. Stay off the wall.
Right.
So, but again, it's a problem we get to worry about for 2 more weeks, and then we never worry about it again because we're gonna have composite bodies next year. So,
yeah.
I'm not in favor of this ride height rule. I wish they would go back to enforcing it. Because I think it's just another factor in the things that have hurt the Cup Series over the past couple of years. But again, we don't worry about it after 2 weeks. So,
right. Exactly.
What else with this one, James? We talked about Larson, 130 laps led in this thing.
Yeah, we talked about Blaney, Busch, and Kez, and Martin. You know, those guys, like Kyle Busch could have had the worst day possible, and he's still above the cut line. So he's got to be feeling, I guess,
by 1 point.
Yeah, by 1 point, but
still, he's in it.
Considering what his day was,
he's
got to be feeling a little bit, I guess, relieved that he's in the position that he's in. Brad too, and I mean all these guys. I mean, we look at Blaney is the one where I would be like, dang, I really blew it.
Yeah.
But Martin and Brad actually closed the gap to where they need to be, even though they had awful days. Like Brad was trapped, you know, a few laps down, and then got bad luck with some pit calls late, which you know, he got trapped by a caution flag. So you know, I guess everybody but Ryan Blaney is feeling a little bit better. Even if I were Kyle Busch, I know Kyle Busch isn't feeling great, but exactly. So yeah, it's going to be wild, Eric. We've got guys who are really, really good at Martinsville, who, I mean, all these guys are so good at Martinsville. Joey can win there. Brad's won there. Martin's won a whole heck of a lot at Martinsville. So they
named it really after him, James. I mean,
they did. Yeah. Didn't he win? It wasn't 3 in a row, but man, it felt like every time we went to Martinsville and Darlington.
He did Martin Truex Jr. things those weekends too, where there was no chance he wasn't winning the race.
Yeah.
He just dominated the thing for like 2 races and 2 races and 3 races.
Yeah. It's funny. Like we forget how dominant that dude really was at, you know, and it wasn't that long ago.
Right.
But he was so dominant. And I think it's interesting that we've got, you know, 2 guys who have had a battle here with Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin, who, you know, probably are going to try to steer clear of each other a little bit because they're feeling so good, but they've got a little history at this place too. So, you know, Hendrick Motorsports has to be happy with Chase though, too, being right there. But it's very interesting. I think we could talk about the what ifs of this championship format for the next 24 hours. You know, I feel like we could go back and forth on anything.
Well, let me throw one more what if at you. And I mean, we're going to talk about Martinsville more coming up, but we might as well talk about it now. Yeah. There's obviously one more storyline that we haven't had for a couple weeks that could very well rear its head once again at Martinsville, and that's the the Chase Elliott Kevin Harvick situation.
Sure.
I mean, I don't think Harvick does something blatant, but he's not going to make it easy on Chase, and Chase is going to have to be around him.
Yeah.
I mean, so my question isn't so much does Kevin Harvick pull something. My question is how, at what point of Harvick doing something would NASCAR step in? Because if he's just racing him hard, going a lap down, or racing him hard for position, NASCAR's not going to do anything about that.
No.
Even if they get together, I mean, I think short of a Joey Logano, Matt Kenseth incident where Harvick's many laps down and he wrecks him, I think if Harvick's in the race, it's pretty much fair game. He can do whatever he wants, don't you think?
Yeah. Well, and they had an interesting moment on Sunday.
Yeah, they did.
At a restart.
I was waiting to see what was going to happen.
Yeah, Kevin raced him real tough. But
stayed off him. It was very clean but tough.
I think it's over now, and I don't think Kevin
Chase Elliott is in a position to get knocked out of the playoffs, and Kevin Harvick's in position to take him out. You think Harvick's not doing it?
I just don't think Kevin wants to have I don't think he wants to be suspended, and I think that's
he didn't think too much about it at the Roval, so.
No, I don't think he thought he would be suspended for getting him back once, but I think if he wrecks him again, I think there's going to be some trouble.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I just don't think he'll do it. I think he's done with it.
I'm actually a little disappointed that NASCAR stepped in on it, to be quite honest. I kind of wish we would have just let it go. But it probably needed to be done.
Yeah, if you want to have any integrity, you gotta, every once in a while.
Integrity. What's that? I don't know.
What is integrity?
Not familiar with that word.
Yeah. So, you got to have some integrity with your sport. You can't have guys just out there bulldozing each other all the time. But I was glued to the screen.
James, we're gonna go race in the freaking Coliseum on a quarter-mile track. Yes, we can have people bulldozing each other.
It's true. All right, I'm gonna give you that one.
We just tested at Bowman Gray today. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you that
one. What else? I mean, for the most part, other than the playoff driver issues, not any real surprises, I don't think, in this one, right, James? I mean, I'm looking at the finishing order. Kurt Busch finishes 4th. He ran well throughout the day. Kevin Harvick got a 3rd place finish. That wasn't really a surprise to me because Harvick runs well here. And he's, at this point, really got nothing to race for but wins. So, otherwise, kind of what you'd expect from a race like this, right?
Yeah, mostly, I think, the added intrigue of the playoffs and the drama that went with that was obviously that's great. If you don't have that, though, I think we got a little bit more of a ho-hum situation going on because Larson has become the dominator. So,
well, there was the first angry call to door bumper clear this week, complaining about him winning again. So
yeah.
So it's starting.
I mean, I know he's coming for everybody's stuff, man. Yep. So
I have a question with that. Chase Elliott's the most popular driver, but people are pretty behind Larson. Does Larson steal that title from him this year? Can you imagine if Chase not only loses the top dog spot at Hendrick, but also loses the most popular driver to him?
I don't think he'll never be the most popular driver.
You don't think so?
Chase is pretty dang popular, man.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know. I don't think
probably
so.
Better chance. Probably better chance of Bubba passing Chase than
honestly. Like,
Chase, right?
Can you imagine NASCAR going up in that banquet and saying, "Here's our most popular driver," after one of the biggest controversies in the history of the sport. I just can't imagine.
You think they'll stack the deck against him no matter what?
No, I'm not. I know. Yeah. Well, I don't want to be Mr. Conspiracy guy, but Chase is just too popular. Honestly, Chase is the guy. He's got
the old school fans. He's got the current fans. He's got everything right now.
Plus, he's not winning. Don't know. Yeah, and I honestly don't know who could ever come for him. William Byron.
The whole thing's a farce anyway. I mean, most popular driver award is stupid.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Elliott was beating Dale Earnhardt every year for however many years.
True.
So yeah,
that's true. Sorry to waste time in the show discussing it.
It's all good. It's all good.
Anything else the Cup race to talk about? We're gonna hit back on it in a little bit because I want to do a little comparison, but we'll maybe end at this point now and revisit it in a little bit.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Sounds good, man. Yeah, I think we're good. I am very much looking forward to Martinsville.
Yeah.
As you know, we have such a great second round of the playoffs with Talladega and the Roval being in there. And then we followed that up with Texas, Kansas. And I know we had some pretty decent races that came out of Texas and Kansas this year, but man, I would much rather have 3 Martinsvilles. So
James,
I'm very excited.
This is the
it.
peak this weekend. You're not going to go up from this weekend. As much as exciting as a championship weekend
so
is
much
be,
drama.
This is the weekend right here.
Yeah, and you know what I love about what NASCAR has done with the schedule here is it's like the NFL. In a way, I always thought that the NFL, the conference championship weekends was like, I thought that was the best weekend of football of the year, even better than the Super Bowl, because it was such an event. But you have these 2 conference championships heading into the Super Bowl, and you've got these great games. And I thought that was my favorite day of football. You had 2 great games, and then you get the Super Bowl after that. And Martinsville, you've got one of the top 5 best tracks in the whole circuit. Either anybody who's a true fan of NASCAR's got Martinsville somewhere 1 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got that great track, and you've got all this drama with the playoffs. And last year was pretty wild. So I think this year's only going to be even better. It's been such a great decision to make this the penultimate event moving forward. So I'm very much looking forward to it.
It is not going to disappoint at all.
No, there's no way. There's no way.
If you're going to tune in for one, tune in this weekend.
Dude, last year when Kevin Harvick dumped Kyle Busch off the final corner, I was like, man, this is incredible.
Yep.
This is incredible.
Totally.
Yep.
The NASCAR Xfinity Series took the track the day before for the Kansas Lottery 300. And speaking of drivers that are just, there's nothing else to say about, how about Ty Gibbs getting another win in the Xfinity Series? I believe I read or heard that he is going to be the Rookie of the Year, despite the fact that he only ran a quarter of the races or whatever.
He should be.
So my question on this, James, is he's running full-time in the Xfinity Series next year. We know he's not going to be there long. Is it a waste of his talent to put him in the Xfinity Series for a year? I would never say that about anybody.
Yeah.
I think he's already ready to be racing in the Cup Series.
I think it is very valuable for him to run for a championship.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing he's not. I mean, I'm sure we'll probably talk about it. He won the ARCA championship.
Right.
But this playoff format is a different beast. I just think it's important for him. He's so young. Joey Logano didn't get the experience I felt that he needed.
But this is not a Joey Logano level though. This is a different level from anybody. We've never seen this.
But so here's my devil's advocate for you.
Okay.
Who's he better than in the Joe Gibbs camp right now? Who's he a better driver than right now?
Well, that is the problem. Is there's nowhere for him to go.
That's right. He's in the Yankees farm system. He can't replace anybody.
I'm not suggesting that he moves up next year. There's not a place for him. So
right.
He has to go to the Xfinity Series.
Is he better than a lot of guys in that Cup garage? Oh yeah, dude. But he's in the toughest pipeline. But there's a plan, Eric. There is a grand plan in place for this kid. He will be in a Cup car before you can blink an eye. You're gonna look up one day and he's gonna be there. I wouldn't even be surprised if he's making some Cup starts next year for Gaunt or something.
Totally, he's making Cup starts next year.
Yeah,
he's not in the Cup. He's not in the Xfinity Series in 2023.
I don't know. He's gonna have to go to he's gonna be racing for Joe Gibbs Racing. I just don't know who he's replacing. Martin Truex, maybe. I don't know. I don't
know. Who knows? We have a new car coming this year, and we have some drivers that aren't very excited about the car. So maybe somebody decides we're gonna hang it up earlier than expected
maybe somebody wants to go F1 racing who maybe drives the 18 car. I don't know.
Well, maybe somebody wants to pull a Carl Edwards and just bail at the end of the season,
maybe.
So this kid's not in the Xfinity Series in 2023. He's a Cup driver in 2023. He
is 13th in points, and I'm looking at it's not really that close. He's got basically 3/4 of a race of points over Ryan Sieg, who has raced he was raced almost twice as many races as him. He started 17 of the 31 races this year, and he's pretty much guaranteed to finish 13th in points. 17 starts, 10 top 10s. His average finish is better than anyone in the series not named Austin Cindric. So, and I'm talking just full-time guys. Obviously, Kyle Busch had Kyle went 5 for 5. Right. So I can't. Martin Truex Jr. was really good in his one start, but I'm talking full-time guys. Austin Cindric's 1, Ty Gibbs 2, and right behind Ty Gibbs is AJ Allmendinger. So he's as good as the 2 championship front runners in this series. That's how good he is.
Everybody that started this car this year, other than Ty Dillon has won a race in this car this year.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the whole
car...
story with Ty Gibbs. I mean, the kid is talented.
Well, and I keep going back to this, but he flat out dismantled the run of Harrison Burton,
Mm-hmm.
like completely engulfed Harrison Burton's run. And I'm sure Harrison could have snuck a couple of wins in this season, but that dang 54 car had 11 wins. He's got 4 of them. That Joe Gibbs Racing has only wins in the series has come from that 54 car.
Yep.
He's dominated everything that he's done with that car. It's just and I'm grateful that Harrison's going Cup racing. He deserves to be in the Cup car. He's talented. He's super talented, but you just ran up against a absolute shooting star.
Mm-hmm.
You can't compete with somebody who's doing what he's doing. Now, can Ty Gibbs have setbacks? Yeah, absolutely he can. Yeah. But right now he's the hottest thing going.
Yeah.
There's nobody better right now in the lower series of the sport.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. It'd be really interesting to see what he could have done this year, the full season.
It's been a lot of fun, especially with the Cup driver limit. To see, I don't know. I've always been a proponent of limiting the Cup driver starts, and I feel like we are now bearing the fruit of some of those limits the last couple of years, because we're really getting an eye for some of these guys who are able to get these starts and win these races. I mean, they are really popping off the screen.
Yeah, I think I'm finally conceding to that argument.
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten, we got to see some Chase Briscoe last year, and a lot of those, that class was really good.
Well, I mean, seriously, do we see the story we're seeing right now with AJ Allmendinger, with Daniel Hemrick, these guys? We don't get that if we have Cup drivers.
Noah Gregson's not a race winner, I don't think. I love that we are able to put the focus on these guys more than we ever have before, and we bring up Noah Gregson, but we could see that personality too.
Yep.
And you and I are riding or dying with Daniel Hemrick every week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we want this kid to win.
I think I'm done picking him until he gets his first win, because it didn't work out for me this weekend.
I cursed him so bad on Saturday because last week Todd cursed him in our group chat, and then I texted after he won the stage on Saturday, and I said, "Don't say a word, Todd." And then of course this whole day went to crap again. I was like, "Oh, that's my fault. That's on me." Sorry, man. I know you had him picked too, so
right.
I guess it worked out for me a little bit.
Well,
still
not enough, but
not enough. No,
we'll get there too.
I was killed by the 18 car eventually. So yep.
So Harrison Burton, Noah Gregson. First of all, Gregson involved in one accident, the one with Daniel Hemrick. Yeah. Both of them get damaged. Gregson rallies back, is one of the fastest cars on the track. And then Harrison Burton gets taken out by Sam Mayer, Noah's teammate, and turned right in front of Noah and wrecks them both out of the race. Mm-hmm. And now you got Harrison Burton, who was probably in a must-win situation, and you got Noah Gregson now, who's also in a must-win situation, just about in a must-win situation at Martinsville. Again, non-playoff driver battling with playoff drivers. Takes 2 playoff drivers out. Do we have a different opinion on this one than the last one?
No, I watched this. This is something else we chatted about a little bit, but I watched this highlight 20 times trying to figure out who was at fault here, and it was him. It was the non-playoff guy who kind of rattled the playoff. It's such a minute incident, that caused it. It's a very thin moment in time. And it's just a racing deal, but we talked about cutting playoff guys some slack. And I'm not a huge fan of it, but right there, when you've got all the track below you to give a little bit of room, I feel like you can.
Well, and that's where I said I was going to contradict myself later in the episode, because I am, it's early for it, but I'm going to award Sam Mayer with my jackass corner, because
there you go. It's a bummer.
He just, like you said, first of all, you're racing 2 playoff drivers. Not one. You took both of them out, and one of them was your teammate. Gregson was rightfully upset about it, and I mean, should have been upset about it. I'm not in favor of cutting guys any slack, playoff drivers any slack either. But when you're 3 wide coming off of turn 4, all you gotta do is lift, man.
Yeah,
just lift. And so,
give him a little room.
He's a rookie. He's a young guy. He's in this series to learn these types of mistakes, and I think he probably learned from it this weekend.
Yeah.
Likely won't ever do that again, but bummer for Gregson, especially, and both Gregson and Burton now, who are going to be clawing this weekend at Martinsville. But one of those guys, both of them are pretty good there. So
absolutely.
We mentioned Hemrick. Hemrick rallies to 15th after his accident. Never was quite able to recover quite like Gregson did, but still manages a 15th place finish. And it remains in the 4 right now. 7 points to the good for Daniel Hemrick.
Yep, he's got a tough road ahead of him here because I think Noah's going to be pretty tough at Martinsville. I think Harrison will be really tough too, and they've got nothing to lose. They're going to go out and try to win that thing. Cindric and Allmendinger, they're feeling really good. But yeah, it's kind of similar to the Cup situation. Nobody's really locked in. All guy can fall out. It's going to be tight. It's going to be good.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that they're tied for first and second. Going into this race, which is just ironic with how close these two have been pretty much all season long.
Well, and think about AJ Allmendinger barely winning that regular season title and how valuable those points are right now.
Yeah.
They're really going to come in handy with nobody locked in. He's feeling probably pretty good. He's basically got almost a race ahead of everybody else. So he has one good stage 1, and he's good to go. He can go home. So it's gonna be good. It's great weekend at Martinsville. We got the trucks there too. It's gonna be good. Yeah.
Worth mentioning, Brett Moffitt in the O2 car ran a good race in this one. Was up front throughout a lot of it. Finishes 6th. Ryan Sieg, anytime they get a top 5 finish, worth mentioning, finishes 5th in the 39 car.
Yep.
Sam Mayer managed to hang on for an 8th place finish despite his issues. Otherwise, just mainly Burton and Gregson were the big story in this one.
Yeah, it was. Yep. Huge.
So, and there you go. We leave Kansas in the rearview mirror and move on to Martinsville this weekend. We got a couple things in the news, James. Not a whole lot. It's a pretty quiet news week.
Well, it always breaks right after we do.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it all comes down tomorrow. But some breaking news before the show today, if you want to call it that. Dale Jr. announced he will be racing at Martinsville in the spring race for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He's hinted at the last couple years that he wanted to run Martinsville, so not a surprise here. Not a surprise that it's in the spring when he's not in the booth. Dale Jr. is going to race at Martinsville.
Love his one-offs, man. It makes it very cool every year to know that Dale Jr. is going to come race one and get the sights and sounds back. He'll be good.
Yeah.
He'll be good.
Pretty sure Helmets likes it too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All of his sponsors. Yep.
Speaking of Dale Jr., he made the announcement today as he was busy testing today at Bowman Gray. We mentioned that. Dale Jr., Tony Stewart, Clint Boyer, all testing the next gen car at Bowman Gray. Tony did a Goodyear tire test earlier in the day, and then Dale Jr. and Clint Boyer ran some laps later in the afternoon to get a take on the car. And then I also heard on DBC that they're going to take Stuart Friesen and go test it on dirt. So all those people that were saying that we weren't going to race this car at Bristol next year on the dirt is probably wrong. So,
yep.
NASCAR's all in on this car. This car's going to race every race next year, guys. It's going to happen.
It's just, yep.
Especially if we're testing it at Bowman Gray. If we're going to tear these things up at the Coliseum, we're going to race them everywhere. So
yeah. How cool is it to see Dale Jr., Tony Stewart, and Clint Boyer in fire suits?
Yeah.
Gathered in a scrum. Just like the old days, man. Felt good.
So the test was not open to the public, but there was media allowed there. And there are some videos. If you search around on YouTube, you can see some videos of a couple laps they took.
Yeah, Twitter's got a whole bunch of them on their NASCAR's account. And Dale Jr. said it does everything better. So
there ain't one of those guys. The only one that might have a chance of saying something negative when they get out of that car is Tony.
Yeah.
Junior and Clint aren't saying a bad thing at all.
Yeah, and I'm surprised NASCAR had those guys in the car.
Well, I mean, the fact that Tony was in the car, I would say is a good... First of all, he's testing for Goodyear, who he historically has had battles with.
Oh, yes.
But just the fact that Tony's working with NASCAR, that's a good sign, right?
Yeah, and Tony's not going to lie about what he feels under that car.
No. I don't think Tony's ever lied in his entire life.
Part of me's hoping he's got the itch a little bit one more time to come do a couple of the races. I just would love it. But...
There you go.
We finally got a chance to use it.
I used it. So they mentioned on Door Bumper Clear, and I'm with it. We're running this exhibition race at the Coliseum. Why don't we put Boyer and Junior and Stewart in a car, man?
Yeah.
Let's run these guys. It's an exhibition race. Nobody cares. Everybody's gonna be allowed to enter. Run them.
Yeah.
How cool would that be?
It would. Dude, seeing these cars go around Bowman Gray is just badass.
They look slow, but of course
yeah,
it's a quarter mile flat track.
Yeah, but Bowman Gray is, it's Bowman Gray. Eric, I don't know if I've ever told you this. Bowman Gray's on my list.
Yeah.
Like, I want to go see races at Bowman Gray Stadium. So this is cool for me. I love this stuff.
Oh, it's on my list too. Don't worry. I think it's on every NASCAR fan's list.
Yeah, I
mean,
I
watched track
fans
list.
This is probably a decade plus ago now, but the old Madhouse show, loved it, man. It was all about modified racing at Bowman Gray, and it just gave me the itch big time. So maybe someday.
Yep. I forgot. I put it in the notes that a bunch of has-beens were out trying the next gen car today. Gotta get that in the pod.
Hey man, one of those guys just won a championship in a series. So
yeah,
just saying,
some crappy series, startup series, something. I don't know what it is.
You call it crappy, but you enjoyed it.
I did enjoy it. I did. I hope it comes to Berlin next year.
Yeah,
Berlin Raceway is there's my shout out for the week. Berlin Raceway is teasing announcements, and they've made 2 so far. It'd be awesome to see a SRX announcement.
Winchester has been in the circulation too. If they come to Berlin, I'm going.
Dude, I'm all over that.
I'm going.
I am all over that. You're gonna bust out the press badge, James, and come hang out in the pits with me?
Dude, we might have to. We might just have to do it. I would be all in. I would be all in.
It's recorded.
It's recorded.
Documented. So
I know. I would have a blast, especially after Derek went to our buddy Derek Winter, who has been on the pod. After he went to, did he go to Slinger?
Yeah.
I think he went to Slinger. That bastard. Oh man.
Yeah.
Said he had a blast. So.
Yep.
Oh man, I want to go.
NASCAR is looking in the future, James, with their schedule.
Yes.
Word is they had 2031?
Yep. Looking ahead.
Tentative or possible schedule.
Yep. 2031.
I mean, that's a little. I mean, hopefully we can change before then, but
yeah.
I mean, there's been a lot of talk this week. Ben Kennedy has said a few things this week. People in the industry have said things this week that these tracks that are not bringing people in are not going to stay on the schedule. And I think NASCAR at this point, between SMI and NASCAR, they own almost all the tracks. I think they're not going to be scared to shut places down. We saw it with Chicagoland and Kentucky so far.
Yep.
If it ain't working, they're not going to have races. And the other thing I think is that I really think that you and I might get our wish, and we might end up with only a couple tracks that have 2 dates.
Yeah, I think so. I think the tried and trues aren't going anywhere. Your Talladegas, Daytonas, Bristols, Darlington, maybe now. I don't know.
I mean, we might just fill them with dirt, but
maybe. Yeah, let's put dirt let's put dirt at Daytona.
People have been asking. Tony Stewart asked him to fill Talladega with dirt a long time ago, so
he did, and make it a figure 8.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Who knows? Maybe Tony will get his wish too.
Yeah, maybe he'd run that race. I don't know. No, I like I like where we're headed. They did say they want to look at going overseas.
Yep.
I still think we should be back in Montreal.
Yeah. Dude.
If I could go. Mexico City was actually pretty good too. I don't think people give that enough
City
credit.
was okay, but when they took the chicane out of the front stretch, I think they ruined that track.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because usually a chicane ruins the track, but I think the chicane made that track interesting.
Well, and I know it's tough. I know it's tough to go and do stuff like that, but if that's the direction we're going, we're seeing some growth with our friends in F1.
Yeah.
So NASCAR has to be forward thinking. We can't just be doing the same old. And kudos to NASCAR for trying to get some of the stuff out there. I hope it works. I just don't know. I don't know. I'm not as confident in in the things that we've been doing, but I'm on board, man. Just don't take Michigan away from me. That's all I ask.
I hear you. We're fortunate that Detroit's right down the road. So
yeah. Yep.
That being said, we run an IndyCar race in the streets of Detroit. Maybe we run a NASCAR race there eventually too.
Yeah, double them up.
Now you transition into this, so it's a perfect point to discuss it because it's the next thing on the list. We got to see Formula One and NASCAR go up against each other head to head this weekend with the Formula One race at Circuit of the Americas and NASCAR at Kansas. Races starting pretty close to the same time. We saw a good chunk of people at COTA, and we saw pretty bare stands at Kansas, which has generated a lot of discussion this week. I kind of feel like We're not comparing apples to apples because
Nope.
you get one chance to see Formula One in the United States all year long. Maybe next year we get 3 chances at it, but right now you get one, and you get 36 plus 2 exhibition race chances to get to see the Cup Series. So not fair. And we also get 2 races at Kansas, and also the forecast was dismal for Sunday, which likely hurt the crowd as well. That being said, James, I remember sitting in 2019 in the media center at Chicagoland Speedway, and Ty Dillon was talking about the things he would do to change NASCAR. And his talk was at track amenities, building a Top Golf at the track so people could enjoy that while they're watching the race, and party decks and all this stuff. And we were sitting there discussing what could we do to attract the younger crowd. And then Formula One came in and decided, hey, let's stream a show on Netflix. And now look what's happened. I mean,
I remember
in 2019, did anybody give a crap about Formula One? No,
dude. Yeah, and I remember bringing up that show just on a whim, like, hey, there's this show, it's pretty good. And I had no idea at that time, Eric, that show was going to be a boom of growth for F1 in this country.
Yeah.
You hear about it on national radio shows now a little bit more.
If I was NASCAR, this would be my top priority, is to have a show exactly like this. I know they're doing some projects,
a spinoff or whatever, yeah.
But my top priority would be getting this.
Yep.
And not on Peacock, not on Fox. Put it on Amazon. Put it on Netflix. Put it somewhere where the young crowd is. This is what we want. Formula One is getting that group of people that we have said for years that our fan base is dying off. We need to find a way to attract the young kids. Well, they figured out a way to do it with, as much as people will tell you different, a less superior product than what the Cup Series puts on the track every weekend.
Yeah.
It's not as good of a package. You watch the first lap of a race, and then you watch pit stops, and that's where the passing happens. But the race is, we raced a stage in the amount of time it took them to race the entire race this weekend.
And I think what we have to remember with why that Netflix show has done what it's done is it has given people an inside look at the booming personalities of that sport. It's such a those guys in F1 live crazy rock star lives, even more so than our guys in NASCAR.
But we've got interesting personalities that people don't see.
We do, but we've never showcased them like this. We've never had.
We did NASCAR Drivers 360 back in the day, which was an entertaining show, but it was cheesy. It was too reality TV. We
didn't have reality show cameras following Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon around.
Right.
That was just, that was done through the media. Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi actually had a really good discussion about this, about media access to the owners, and how F1 is so wide open, and how in NASCAR you can't talk to anybody anymore. And Bianchi was blown away, and he's brought up a great point. When do we get sit downs with Rick Hendrick and Jack Roush? You don't see any of these guys anymore. And the F1 has got the marketing and the media down.
Can you imagine what the NASCAR teams would do if NASCAR said, we're giving this camera crew all access?
Oh God,
they can come into your garage, they can come into your shop. Yeah, they'd throw a fit.
And they'd have a conniption fit.
I mean, we get instructed in the media that we're not allowed to take pictures under the hoods of cars in the garage.
Yep.
They'll throw a fit. They'll come after you.
Yep.
It's so. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry,
I was gonna say, and we're talking about all this, and that being said, now NASCAR got their butt kicked in the stands, easy.
Yeah.
But as you know, Eric, we're not going to lose the television battle yet.
Right.
NASCAR.
Well, that being said, NASCAR also was on NBC Sports, whereas the Formula One race was on ABC. James, I have a question. How in the world? I know that there were issues with ESPN when they first took over Formula One, and the broadcast was terrible, and they decided to start showing it commercial free. How do they pull that off, and why can't we do that in NASCAR?
ESPN is I can't remember exactly how this works, but they don't need the ad revenue that they get from that because of the outsourcing of it through the European market. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but ESPN basically pays for those rights, and I think they get that. I don't think the ad revenue is much.
That's an argument that I've heard a lot this week, is that those races are commercial free.
Think about it too. Those F1 races are starting at like 7 a.m.
Usually,
ESPN. If they throw it on ESPN2, they don't need the
Right.
who's watching that? And especially this time of year, it's college football season. You got a live event. But people are going to be watching college football on Saturdays and NFL stuff on Sundays.
I think NASCAR has really hurt themselves a lot over the past couple of years, and a lot of it's COVID related. But you don't have the stuff at the track that you used to have. I know that the crowds were certainly diminishing for practice and qualifying and all that stuff, but it's still part of the weekend. It's part of the ticket package. It's part of the value that you get. All the souvenir trailers and all the activation of the track is part of that value that's not there anymore. Yeah. And something again, Door Bumper Clear kind of hinted at it a little bit. James, when you go to your local short track, what do people do at the end of the race? They open the freaking gates and everybody goes down in the pits and tours the pits and checks stuff out. You know what happens at a NASCAR race? First of all, the gates are all locked. You can't get down there. And when you are down there, the biggest race of the weekend is the race to get to the freaking jets to get the hell out of there.
Oh yeah, dude.
Those drivers don't. The only driver that is at the track 30 minutes after the race is the driver who won the race. Everybody else is gone. It is a ghost town.
Yeah, it is.
And it is. I mean, that's the stuff that if we could just give fans some access, most people aren't going to go down there, but the ones that are going to love it. Yeah. It's just, we're just going the wrong direction with some of this stuff. And
I know.
You can certainly see how Formula One and IndyCar, IndyCar's catching us too. I know IndyCar's got a long ways to go to get to us, but IndyCar's doing a lot of right stuff right now too, and they're gaining.
Yeah. So and unfortunately too, NASCAR is seen as our perception's just not great. I guess is what I'll say. We've had a lot of controversies. Yeah. With stuff.
Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
Were they chanting "Let's go, Brandon" at the Formula One race this weekend?
It's so disappointing. Gosh, man. But yeah, no, I hope the next gen car does something with this. But
looks a lot more like a street car. It should be a lot more familiar to people.
Yeah, we can't throw all our eggs in the basket. People just don't care. Honestly, Eric, people don't care about cars anymore.
No, I mean, tell me what cars the Formula One cars
nobody cares. Nobody's tuning into the Drive to Survive to look at the cars. They want to see Daniel Ricciardo jumping off a cliff into the bay. That's what they like about that show. Yep. And Bottas being a kind of a weirdo in his cabin out in the middle of nowhere. It's endlessly entertaining. I can't wait for that show to come back again, honestly. But
it's funny because I was on the Formula One train before the show happened, and I was on it because of the video game. Because the video game was so damn good. Yep. And so I started watching because of that. Yeah. And I've gotten into the show a little bit, but I've not watched all of it. I've still watched only probably about half of it. So
yeah, I've seen every episode. I love it. But I like to consume that stuff. I mean, I watched all the Lost Speedways too with Dale Jr. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny because that show is so up my alley. I just can't get into it, James. I just can't.
When your time is limited, you have to pick your spots.
It's not even that. There's just something about the flow to it. Yeah, Matthew Dillon doesn't thrill me, but even the episodes he's not in, there's just something about the flow. I can't get into it.
Yep.
I tried really hard. I was so excited about it, but just not my show. Any other news, James, that we missed? I know it's, again, pretty quiet right now. Everything will break tomorrow.
I would say one more thing is the Daniel Ricciardo driving Dale Earnhardt car. I mean, I knew that was happening, and I knew he was a big fan of Dale. I mean, obviously he runs the 3. Yep. But dude, man, so cool.
Yeah.
Well, is he the coolest? Is he the coolest person to ever get behind the wheel of a NASCAR car in the last 10 years?
He could be. He could be.
He's so
well,
cool.
And that's the thing too. Like, just there's that series respects what we do. And they suggested on Door Bumper Clear that NASCAR gets on the phone with Formula One and says, "Listen, we want to do a weekend with you. You guys get Sunday, we'll take Saturday, and let's run the same track." And that's something I think NASCAR needs to do, James. I think NASCAR needs to be willing to play second fiddle. We talked about it already with IndyCar, how cool it would be to take the Indy or maybe the Daytona 500 weekend or the Brickyard 400 weekend or something. Yep. And have the Indy cars on the big track and be the big show on Sunday, and the Cup cars Saturday on the road course, and then switch it up the next day. Or next time around. I mean, I think NASCAR needs to be willing to play second fiddle to these other series to help gain their fan base. Yep.
Yeah, and especially with F1, obviously they're coming to Miami, but now Las Vegas, they could have 3 tracks. Mm-hmm. I sent you an article not that long ago that NASCAR is interested in running Miami.
Yeah.
Which of course they are, right? I guess. or I guess no, it was the other way around. Miami's interested in having NASCAR.
Yeah.
Which again, of course, they are,
Right.
because it would be cool to have that with their F1. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, mixing motorsports it can only help. It's not going to hurt at this point. There's too much of this. I like my form of motorsports and your form of motorsport sucks. There's not enough fans to go around anymore for us to play that game. We need to.
Yep.
And that's the same thing with the fans. Fans need to get over it and support all motorsports, not just one. You know.
Exactly.
With that, James, I still have Kansas on here. We are heading to Martinsville this weekend. We have all 3 series in action. Going to be 3 terrific races. We get a doubleheader on Saturday with the Truck Series during the day and the Xfinity Series under the lights. And then Sunday, the NASCAR Cup Series names their final 4 in the Xfinity 500. So coming off last week, we kind of teased it. James managed to still lose ground to me this week.
I was doing good. I was nipping away slowly, but Kyle Busch got me.
Yeah.
With all of his problems, and that's it for me and Kyle Busch. He's earned me on the year. I picked Kyle Busch 3 times. He has earned me 35 points, 34 points. So him and I are done. We are breaking up. I will not pick him ever again.
So James has to gain an average of 10 points per race on me the last 2 weekends.
Yes.
To be able to get the win. He's 60 points
6
behind
races
me right now.
60 points. Let's go.
With that, James gets the first pick for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series on Saturday.
It's been a minute since we've picked the Truck Series.
Yeah, let's just recap real quick. We got 4 drivers in the final 4 right now with John Hunter Nemechek, Ben Rhodes, Matt Crafton, and
Sheldon Creed.
There you go.
Yeah.
Stuart Friesen, Chandler Smith, Carson Hocevar, and who the heck drives 21? I can't think of his name right now.
Oh,
Zane Smith, right?
Yep.
Zane Smith is 8th.
Let's double check that.
I'm pretty certain I'm right. Should have been prepared for this. This is how professional we are.
It's been a month since we talked about the Truck Series.
The Truck Series still exists, James, believe it or not.
Yes, but Zane Smith does drive the 21 for the Gallagher team.
So those 4 are trying to get in. Stuart Friesen is 5 points out, and the other 3 kind of need a really good day or a win to get in. 34, 37, and 40 points out.
Yeah, after Talladega, that's how long it's been.
Yeah,
Talladega,
crazy.
When Tate Fogelman won, and
yep.
And had a super wrecked truck, and Kyle Busch didn't like that. So.
As a matter of fact, it's been so long ago that I do need to check and make sure. Okay, I picked Derek Kraus, so I don't have to worry about that pick.
Yeah. Well, I threw my pick on there because I need him.
All right,
John Hunter, get it done, baby. I need you.
All right, you're gonna make this one tough on me then, because
we got the championship weekend coming up, so this is my last use of John Hunter for the year. I can't get him in Phoenix, so that gives you a chance there. I'm gonna try to get some points out of that guy.
Let's see. I'm going to go with my second pick then, which should have been my first pick because you couldn't pick him. And I'm going to go with Ben Rhodes as my pick here.
Ben Rhodes. Yep. I couldn't pick Ben Rhodes.
Carson Hocevar was on my short list as well.
Yep. He'll be good here.
Yep.
He's a good short track driver.
Saturday night is the Dead on Tools 250 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Who you got on this one, James?
Yeah, I was going to go Noah Gragson. I'm going to ride the hot hand. I'm going to take Ty Gibbs. He'll be in this race in the 54, probably on the pole. So I'm going to try to maximize my points, see if I can't get a stage.
I was going to go with AJ Allmendinger on this one, but if you're going to leave me Noah Gragson, I'm going to take Noah Gragson.
Yep, Noah Gregson's going to be tough. He'll be tough to beat. Josh Berry, defending track winner. The one here in the spring. We talked about that before the pod. So he'll be. Is he racing? I didn't check that.
I don't think so because he's done for the year, I believe.
Unless he's in the 31 for Anderson. Hold on.
I don't know.
Entry list. Let's make sure. I'm looking for a Berry. I don't see a Berry.
I don't think he is.
Oh yeah, there he is.
He?
Yep, he's racing for Jordan Anderson in the
go.
31.
Could be
so
an
Josh
interesting
Berry.
pick.
Yep, Josh Berry will be in this race. Sam Mayer's in the 8. And yeah, that's interesting. That is interesting. Michael Annette's back in the 1. So yeah, JR Motorsports has their stuff figured out. And Josh Berry probably, unless he's racing Phoenix for Jordan, this is probably his last start before he goes full time.
Yeah.
Next year. I don't know if he's racing for Jordan in Phoenix or not, but there you go.
There you go. Most anticipated race of the season, the Xfinity Series or Xfinity 500 NASCAR Cup Series race on Sunday. Who are you picking on this one, James?
Oh man, this is actually tough because we got some guys with different strategies. This is going to be wild.
Yeah. This
And
is going to be really wild.
I am not super confident on what to do here, but all I know is I'm taking Chase Elliott. I was I was eyeballing Martin Truex Jr. But I'm gonna take Chase. He's gonna be up front, and he's gonna be hopefully just keep it clean and get me some points, and hopefully he'll get a win and lock himself into round of 4.
Chase Elliott was definitely on my short list. Martin Truex Jr. is on my list as well. My pick was going to be Denny Hamlin until I remember that I picked him last week and can't pick him this week.
Cannot.
So in that case, James, I'm going to go with a driver that kind of needs a win or could really use a win to get this one, and I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney.
Ryan Blaney. It has been a bit since we've actually picked Ryan Blaney.
Yeah. Has it been that long? Because I thought I just picked him recently.
You did. Oh yeah, you did. You did. Yeah. You had him at. Did you have him at Talladega? Vegas. You had him at Las Vegas.
I was gonna say it was pretty recent.
Yep. So Ryan Blaney versus Chase Elliott on Sunday.
There you go. Chase is a good pick. I mean, unless he runs into trouble, he's going to be there in the top.
I don't see me gaining. Let's say I don't know. I need to at least cut it to 30 this week. I don't know if I'm getting that with those picks. So
yeah, the problem is though, like Gregson's going to be taking chances, so there's an opportunity there.
He's got to win, yeah.
And Ben Rhodes, you just never know with Ben.
And Ty Gibbs is just going to try to get the checkered flag.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Depends on how stages play out for him, really, whether you get points from him.
Exactly.
Fantasy League, we don't need to talk about that, right?
Oh, but we do. Eric, I went back to back. Got the win.
When was the last time somebody went back to back? It's been a while.
Probably.
Hasn't
it? It's probably been a minute.
I'm sure Ranger's done it a couple dozen times.
You know what I should do before next week is I should look up the stats on some of our fantasy league stuff because that might be kind of interesting. I don't know if I want to take the time though. I hate the fantasy league so much. But yeah, I won last week. I won this week and closed the gap on Ranger. Ranger finished 3rd and Tandem Draft Tono was 2nd. So that being said, I think we might be the only 3 guys who care about this anymore, because Ranger's in the lead. Rangers got me by 105, so I almost cut it to 100, Eric, with 2 races to go. Tandem Draft Tono right behind me. I'm at 6,445. He's at 6,439, so I only gained a couple of points on him. And then our buddy Todd is at 62.99 in 4th. So other than that, that's about it. Kind of a 3-horse race. Again, I'm going to be a little bit too late to catch Ranger. He might go back to back for the championship with 2 races to go. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm going to have to win. So I don't know. I don't know if I can win 3 in a row. I think the odds are against me. So.
Ranger went back to back at Phoenix and Atlanta earlier this season.
Okay, so you're going through it.
I'm clicking through it real quick here.
I do this where I get a little streaky too. So yeah, it's I don't know. It's been an interesting league. I mean, Ranger had a massive lead. It got cut down. Then he pulled back ahead late here in the playoffs. But I did the same thing I did last year, Eric. It's too little too late, I feel like, to do anything with it. But pretty fun.
I believe you and Ranger are the only ones to go back to back. There's a lot of freight trains up front.
Yeah, Todd's up front quite a bit.
But not 2 in a row.
Yeah. Ranger won at Charlotte Road Course. And
Freight Train went 2 in a row. Daytona and Darlington.
Oh, there you go. So you're way into the season at that point.
Yeah.
So Richmond and Bristol? No?
Bird 8U went back-to-back Las Vegas and Talladega.
Oh, there you go.
And
so yeah, we have a couple of them.
That is it.
I'm gonna have to win 4 in a row to even have a shot, and I don't even think that would get the job done. So we'll see how it goes.
There you go.
It's been, you know what though, I hate this league, but it's been really fun trying to catch that dude because he's Ranger's so good. And I did the same dang thing last year. I came on in the playoffs and made a push late, and I only ended up losing by I think 80 points or something like that last year. So, and then of course nobody else cares about our fantasy league, but if you're in it, it's been pretty fun. So yeah. We've enjoyed it. I mean, we hate it, but it is interesting sometimes. So
we do have a few guys that looks like have bailed at the end here, but we still got 11 strong, 11, 12 strong right now.
Yes,
so
we do. Yes, we do.
Good to see you guys playing along. We appreciate it.
Yep.
We would almost prefer if you didn't, because we could cancel the thing.
Well, maybe if Ranger just doesn't show up the next 2 weeks,
Maybe.
that would give me that would give me a fighting chance.
Maybe.
That would be appreciated.
James, did you come up with a shout out?
I thought I had one, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Oh, I was gonna shout out. Actually, I was gonna bring this up earlier. I'll use this as my shout out. So Jordan Bianchi went to Coda, as we mentioned.
Yep.
Eric, they started the Teardown podcast. I guess this is a shout out to the popularity of F1. The Teardown podcast went 24 minutes before NASCAR came up at all.
Wow.
They started with 24 minutes of Coda talk. Huh. So I guess I'll shout out their podcast if you want a nice little mix of NASCAR and apparently F1. I thought that was so interesting that that the popularity of what's going on with F1 has pulled them. I should have mentioned this earlier, but I just thought of it. But the popularity of F1 has bled into the Teardown podcast, and I guess if I was a business person, I would wonder how much F1 we should be talking on this podcast. Be like, hey guys, have you thought about your business model? Because there's something going on over there. So I guess I'll use that as my shout. I wanted to mention that, and I'll throw it in here.
Cool. I haven't come up with one, so I don't have a shout out. I already gave you my Jackass Corner for the week. That is Mr. Sam Mayer. What do you got, James, on Jackass Corner?
After we finish up this podcast, I'm going to go play NASCAR Ignition again, and I'm going to use the word play very loosely. I hopped on for about 20 minutes before we did this episode today, and it's busted pretty bad. I cannot believe a game is allowed to launch that broken. I've honest to God, Eric, I've never played a game as bad as that one right now. So they got a lot of work to do to fix that thing up. I'm going to go try it again and see if I can't play with the settings to make the car drivable. That's been my problem. With my history with NASCAR games on the console is I go to the settings and I turn everything off. But I'm going down the straightaways and I can't turn the car left or right because you can't turn the steering assist off. And the car is just kind of like it's just stuck on the track, and I can't figure out how to make it move. So I got to go play with it a little bit more.
What the hell were they thinking?
I know I tried to go down pit road at Michigan in practice, and my car drove right into the water barrels and just sat there spinning its wheels. And I thought, holy the thing is broken. It really is broken.
I mean, is it just a matter of they just weren't ready and they decided to put it out anyway rather than delay it? Like, what the hell? How do you launch a game this poorly?
There must be a licensing deal in place where they had to launch before the season was over, because it is late in the season.
Right.
So I'm wondering
if it's already too late to launch a NASCAR game.
And there's no, like, I got used to NASCAR Heat last year. I played a lot of Heat 5, and you had the Truck Series, you had the Dirt Late models, you had the Xfinity Series, and there is none of that in Ignition. You get the Cup Series, there's no stages.
What the hell? Really, how do you have no stages?
It's regressed.
It's like the whole gimmick of NASCAR is stages, and we don't have stages.
It's such a regression. I am baffled by how bad my experience was. Now again, I'm gonna try it again, and see if I can't get it to work. And if not, I'm just gonna wait for the patches to come out. I guess I'll just have to wait.
Well, I am saving my money until the patches.
Don't buy it right now. Take Eric's advice. Don't buy it. I pre-ordered it so I could play it 2 days early. I could experience it 2 days early. How's that?
Right, because it's not technically out yet, right?
No, it's technically 2 more days.
So there is a possibility that when it officially launches, that there'll be a day one patch.
It. Maybe
we'll get. So. Do you think you might get a rear view mirror by chance?
It's so bad. Oh man, I can't believe it. Like, I can't believe how bad it is. It's graphically it looks fine, but
from my understanding is it's beautiful, but nobody can see the beauty because they're too busy trying to keep the car under control. Or
maybe what I'll do for the first 2 days is drive around the garages, like,
there you go,
which actually does make me kind of thrilled because I've always wanted that. So maybe I'll start there.
That's cool. With that, James, if people want to chat about their experience with NASCAR Ignition or anything else with you, how can they do that?
Yeah, if anybody's got it, tweet at me at James Cush on Twitter. We I know our buddy Barron Speedway's got SRX, but we still haven't been able to hook up and play. So if we can play, I'll play SRX. I'll go back and play Heat 5. Heck, I don't care.
There you go. I'll be playing Heat 5, Heat Legacy, whatever the hell it's called, on the Switch here in about a month. So
the Switch version of Heat.
Yep.
Yeah.
November 23rd that comes out. I'm ready. You can find me on social media at T Super Speedway on Twitter. T Super Speedway is the way to pronounce that. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find old episodes of the podcast, show notes, links to articles we discussed, past race coverage, photos, all that stuff. Check that out there. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, and SoundCloud, wherever you found us today. We hope you subscribe and continue to listen. And we appreciate everybody who has subscribed and listens every week. Very much appreciate you guys. James, there's 2 weeks left in the season. 2 weeks.
That's I know. That's it.
And then we get to go on a long vacation, which we won't. But
I mean,
we'll take a couple weeks off.
Yeah, we usually do bi-weekly in the off season. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know. We're working on. I will say maybe a teaser, Eric, is we are working on a couple of kind of different things.
Yeah.
Not to get the crowd too excited, but I don't know. I'll just leave that there and see what we can do for the off season. I have a couple of ideas, so I'm gonna try to chase that dragon and see how it goes.
Yep, we got some ideas, so that would be very cool. If any of it comes to fruition,
who the heck knows?
Exactly. Martinsville is this weekend. All three series in action the next 2 weekends. Again, likely the most highly anticipated race of the season. I don't think there's any way the championship race is going to live up to what this weekend will do. So we're excited to go check that out. I'll be back next week to break it all down, preview the championship race for all three series, and talk about who made it in and who didn't. All that stuff. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.